Alrighty, UFC 311 is this Saturday, and man, do we have a banger of a card that we're starting off the year with. I know we already had a fight night, but this is the real deal. This is the pay-per-view, and man, is this thing stacked nearly from top to bottom. You'll have to forgive me if I look homeless and if I'm out of breath. I just got done with a workout, but yeah, you'll deal with it. All right, we're going to start from the early prelims. We're going to move on to the main event. I'm going to give my opinion on every single one of these fights, and we're just going to go from there, starting with Tagir Ulanbekov versus Clayton Carpenter. Yeah, I mean, Clayton Carpenter isn't, like, that great. I mean, Tagir Ulanbekov hasn't proved that he's, like, amazing either, but Clayton Carpenter isn't going to be able to nullify the wrestling from Tagir, and given Tagir's, like, past, his past fights, I mean, he submitted his last two opponents. He submitted Cody Durden and Maness. His loss in the UFC is to Tim Elliott, which kind of says a lot in my opinion, but it's whatever. I'm going to go with him by decision. You know, like I say, Clinton Carpenter's not going to have much for him. That's all I really have to say on this fight. Next fight, Ricky Turcios and Bernardo Sopai. Ricky Turcios sucks. He's just not good. He barely wins the fights that he wins, that he's won inside the UFC. Let's look at his record. Lost to Raul Rosas Jr. Okay, lost to Natividad, whoever the heck that is. Lost to Eamon Zahabi. Lost to beat Brady Highstand by split decision, and lost in his debut. So he's only won 2 fights, and they were both by split decision. And also, I feel like every time he comes out, he just, like, his attitude and his, like, outlook on the fight is just kind of Like, it's almost like he's either, like, way too angry to stay composed, like in the Rosas fight, or, like, he just doesn't care. He's just terrible. And Bernardo Sopai is actually, like, he's only had 1 fight in the UFC, and he lost to Vinicius Oliveira, I know, but he was looking kind of okay in that fight. And I don't think Ricky Turcios is going to be the kind of guy to put the wrestling on him and have a huge submission threat like a Charles Oliveira. But, like, yeah, it's Bernardo Sopai, pretty easy for me. He could, like, TKO him maybe, but I think he's gonna beat him by decision. Bernardo Sopai is gonna beat Turcios by decision. Anyways, Rini Nakamura and Muin Gafurov, whatever. I'm bad at this, bro. Rini Nakamura, he's had how many fights in the UFC? 3 fights in the UFC. He's won them all. His first fight was by TKO. The next 2 have been by decision. He's been a pretty decent wrestler. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not super high on him. I don't think he's, like, bad or anything, or he's, like, overrated per se. I just think he's okay. I think he'll be able to put the wrestling on Muin Gafurov. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that terribly. Muin hasn't looked great inside the UFC. He's only won 1 fight, and it was his last fight. He could get submitted. I don't see him getting submitted. I haven't seen enough submission ability, at least in the UFC level, from Rini Nakamura. I think he has submissions outside of the UFC, but excuse me, I don't think he's going to be submitting Muin Gafurov. I think he's just going to out-wrestle him to a unanimous decision. 30-27, probably. Carol Rosa, Eileen Perez. Eileen Perez is on her come-up. She beat... What was her... How do you pronounce this girl's name? Zalechniakova. Yeah, Zalechniakova, I think. I've heard it pronounced a couple different ways. Whatever. She beat Zalechniakova. Last time she fought, it was believed by submission in the first round. Carol Rosa, she's number 9 ranked at bantamweight. Bantamweight's really shallow. Women's bantamweight is really, really, really shallow, and it's just not good. Any good fighter that Carol Rosa's fought, like Norma Dumont and Irene Aldana, she's lost to. She hasn't beat good competition. I mean, neither has Eileen Perez per se, but Perez is on her come up. That's different. Carol Rosa's number 9 in the division, right? I think Eileen Perez is going to be able to put it on her. She seems pretty imposing in her grappling. She seems kind of decent. I don't know that she's going to get too terribly far, but I think she's going to be able to outwork Carol Rosa. I think she could submit her in a round or 2. maybe like first or second round submission. And then, we're going to see another twerk celebration from Eileen Perez. I'm kind of tired of it at this point. It's just, whatever. Anyways, Zachary Reese versus Azamat Bakoev. A pullout. The first pullout of the card. One of two pullouts of the card. One of two changes, I believe. I think there's been a couple other pullouts, but this has been one of two changes in opponents. Azamat Bakoev making his debut, came from a different promotion. I haven't done a lot of research on him. I know from what I've heard, I know he's a pretty decent grappler. And so they're both kind of grapplers. Zachary Reese, I know he's gotten a couple good TKOs in his past couple fights. He hasn't beat great competition, but whatever. Reese is only 3 fights in the UFC. He did lose to Cody Brundage, but I don't know. It just seems like he got slammed. I'm not going to say it was like a fluke win, good on Cody Brundage for beating him. And Zachary Reese still looks very dangerous. I think he'll probably be able to get Azamat out of there. There's just a big difference between, other, how you perform in other promotions versus the UFC. And we've seen that time and time again. I've heard a couple people picking Azamat. I just don't see that. Even if Azamat is good outside of the UFC, that doesn't mean he's going to perform to the best level inside of the UFC. And I think Zachary Reese will probably be able to get him out of there in a round or two. I'm going to go with my first round TKO. All right. Grant Dawson versus Diego Ferreira. Man. So, excuse me. We got Grant Dawson, who, pretty good wrestler, has had a good past couple fights, really. He just put away Rafa Garcia, which is a really good win. And he beat Joe Selecki before that. It's Joe Selecki. Yeah, Joe Selecki. Before that. 2 pretty good wins, especially the Rafa Garcia win, too. But, from what I've seen from Grant Dawson, he's kind of a one-trick pony. He doesn't have great striking, and his wrestling is good for the competition he's fighting, but it's not, top level enough for me to say that he's just going to blow through Diego Ferreira. And on the other hand, with Diego Ferreira, I was kind of skeptical of him when people started talking about him, because I know he TKO'd Rombetsky. He's 39 though, and he's only won 2 of his he's only on a 2-fight win streak. I know he's looking pretty impressive, but he is getting older, and that is the one thing for me. But given his age, he still looks very dangerous, and I think I'm hopping on the Carlos Diego Ferreira bandwagon. Well, it's Carlos Diego Ferreira. I think it's just Diego Ferreira. Whatever. I'm hopping on the Diego Ferreira bandwagon, and I think that he's dangerous everywhere to be able to pose decent threats to Grant Dawson. And I think he's going to be able to put it on Dawson pretty well. I think if Dawson wants to shoot a lot, I think he'll probably be able to shuck him off or scramble or get back up to his feet. And I think he could put Grant Dawson out of there. I think he could get him out of there, probably by a round 2 or 3 TKO. We could see Grant Dawson recognizing the finishing potential that Diego Ferreira has and just smudging him for 3 rounds and trying to survive and getting it to a 29-28 decision. I could see that happening 100%. I'm leaning more towards Diego Ferreira, though, given the danger that he has across the board. And I don't think in my opinion, I don't think he's going to let Diego Ferreira smudge him like that. I think he's going to be pretty smart, pretty composed. We could see, Diego Ferreira, this is finally the fight where the age catches up with him and he's just not good at all anymore. But, man, I think he's still looking pretty dangerous, and he's still looking pretty competent up in here. So I'm going to go with him by late finish in like round 2 or 3. Bogdan Guskov versus Billy Elikana. Another debutant getting their shot at Bogdan Guskov. Man, this one's different from Zachary Reese, you know. Bogdan Guskov by round 1 knockout also. I think this one's much more set in stone than the Zachary Reese one. Because whereas like Zachary Reese is unranked and he's not too proven. He's looking good, but he's not been too proven. Whereas Bogdan Guskov has proven to be very dangerous. And Billy Elikana, is he really going to beat a number 13 light heavyweight in the world right now? No. It's pretty easy for me. Pretty cut and dry for me. Moving on. Jalen Almeida, Sergey Spivak. 2 wrestlers going at it. And Spivak is a decent wrestler. He's a decent grappler all around. And I think he's going to have the slightly better striking. I know Jalen Almeida likes to throw some kicks, but it's not really that great. And they're not like well set up. And he doesn't like... They're not like damaging kicks or anything, you know. I could see Spivak being able to stuff a couple takedowns, but I don't think he's going to be the kind of guy to reverse position or sweep on Almeida and like get back up to his feet or reverse position and now he's on top. I think if Jalen Almeida puts Sergey Spivak on his back, which I do think he will, Sergey Spivak's not going to be able to change that. You know, Jalen Almeida is much more of an imposing grappler, much more pressure heavy of a grappler than Spivak is. And I know Spivak's probably a bit bigger than he is, but I don't think that's going to matter a whole lot. I think Almeida's going to be able to take him down, or at the very least hold him up against the fence. And Spivak's not going to have the finishing potential like a Curtis Blades will. And I think Jalen Almeida beats him by like 30-27 decision. I don't think it's going to be very exciting. I don't think Almeida submits him either, and I don't think Spivak's going to knock him out either. So, I mean, Almeida could submit him if he gets his back. I don't know if he's going to get his back, but I think he's just going to slowly out-grapple him over 3 rounds, and it won't be too terribly exciting. Anyways, Peyton Talbot and Raoni Barcelos. I can already hear the people on like social medias and on Instagram and stuff like that. They're typing out, you know, like, man, we got to pump the brakes on Peyton Talbot, bro. And like, you know, Raoni Barcelos he's a dangerous man. He's tough out, man. You know, Peyton Talbot doesn't deserve to be a minus 1,300 favorite against Raoni Barcelos, to which I say, yes, he does. Right? Raoni Barcelos, I believe he is 37. Let me check. Yeah, he's 37 years old. He hasn't shown to be the most competent fighter. He lost to Kyler Phillips. That's not a great look from what we know now. He lost to Nurmagomedov. Okay. I mean, he beat Trevin Jones, lost to Victor Henry, lost to Valiev. I'm just kind of looking through here. Yeah, he's like, the competition he's beat isn't great. And we're acting like he's like a huge legend, bro. Like, he made his debut in 2018 against Kurt Hollabaugh. He has a couple of finishes here and there, but like I said, he's 37. He's kind of a patchy fighter, and he doesn't have the same like danger potential that a Peyton Talbot does. Peyton Talbot has youth on his side. He has speed on his side. He has power on his side. He pretty much has everything going for him, and I believe he's going to knock out Raoni Barcelos round 1. I don't care that we don't know a lot about Peyton Talbot, man. He's doing what he should be doing to these unranked prospects. Who did he make his debut against? Aguirre, Nick Aguirre, I think. I don't know who the heck that is. You know, he did what he should have done against Nick Aguirre. He did what a top-level fighter should do to Cameron Simon, and he did what you should do to Giannis Gamori, okay? He's doing what he should be doing. If he went to decision with Giannis Gamori, or if he went to decision with Aguirre, then I'd be like, maybe like a minus 200 favorite. Like, I could see Jorge Barcelos, like, fraud checking this guy. No. He's doing what he should be doing. He's dangerous everywhere. He's not like a super high-level grappler, per se, but he does have the grappling on his side, too. He does have a bit of a submission ability, and he has the knockout threat, and I think he's going to get him out there round 1. Next, Kevin Holland and Rainier de Ridder. I kind of went back and forth on this fight, but I think at the end of the day, I'm going to go with Rainier de Ridder to get him out of... I don't know if he's going to get him out of there. I mean, he could. He could get like a round 2 or 3 submission. That's what I might go with. Kevin Holland is pretty... He can be pretty dangerous at times. He's going to be better than Rainier de Ridder on the feet, 100%. And I think he could tag him on the feet. And Rainier de Ridder is not really like a huge top-level grappler, in my opinion. He's good, and he has good submission game, but he's not like top level for me where he's going to get him out of there round 1. And Kevin Holland has a decent grappling game to where he can probably nullify the not super high level guys. But I think de Ridder will probably... He's probably going to... Man, I just don't know. I'm trying to judge de Ridder off of his Gerald Meerschaert performance, and I don't know how I should rate Gerald Meerschaert. Like, Gerald Meerschaert's not like super good, but he is dangerous on the ground. He does have a good submission game. So does de Ridder, and de Ridder kind of went to war with him. I don't like that at all. I think he could get past Holland, but I'm still going to be very, very skeptical of de Ridder throughout the rest of his career. Actually, I'm going to go with Kevin Holland. I'm going with Kevin Holland by TKO in round 1 or 2. I think he's going to get him out of there. I think he's, like I said, Rainier de Ridder is not like a Khabib. He's not like an Islam. He's not like a Khamzat. He's not going to be super imposing and suffocating. And I think Kevin Holland is going to be able to get him out of there. He's going to be able to stuff his takedowns. He's going to be smart enough to stay enough on the outside where he's not going to overextend or try to rush at him, and then Rainier's just going to have a takedown right there. I think Kevin Holland's going to play it smart, and he's going to stay on the outside, piece him apart, like pick him apart, piece him up, and I think he's going to eventually put him away. I could look dumb for saying this. I think whoever you pick, it kind of looks silly if you pick them, but I'm going Kevin Holland, man. Beneil Dariush and Renato Moicano. If this was like a couple years ago, I would have picked Beneil Dariush. I think skill for skill, when you look at it, Beneil Dariush is a bit better than Renato Moicano. I think Moicano might be slightly better on the feet. Even then, Dariush is still good on the feet. But, man, Dariush is, I think he's just finally getting to that point where he's going to start to fall off. You know, they're both 35, so it's not like we're not like having a huge age conversation with either one of them because they're the same age. Problem is, the difference is Beneil Dariush is on his way down, Renato Moicano is on his way up. Right, Renato Moicano is having a pretty good late career resurgence, and he's going to have that fire lit under him to go and win that fight. And I don't think Dariush is going to have that fire lit under him. Renato Moicano is not going to be able to hold down Beneil Dariush at all. We've seen that Dariush has the scramble ability, has the reversal ability to not let that happen in the slightest to anyone other than a very, very, very high level grappler. And even then, he's going to give those kind of grapplers problems. Like I said, I think it's the stage in their careers, and I think it's going to be the mindset that's going to matter the most in this fight. And I think Renato is going to try and take this to Dariush, and Dariush just isn't going to have that fire under him anymore. And Renato will. He'll take it to him. I think this will be a very close decision. They'll nullify each other's grapplings, and I think Renato is going to look to pressure him on the feet. Dariush is always going to have, he's always going to try and look to counter you off the back foot, but I don't think Moicano's going to let that happen. I mean, if Jalen Turner couldn't get him out of there, then again, it's Jalen Turner. I don't think Dariush is going to get him out of there. Neither of them are going to get each other out of there, I don't think. I think it'll be a very close 29-28 decision going to Renato Moicano. All right. Anyways, Yuri Prochazka and Jamal Hill. This one is, oh man, this one kind of hurts my soul a little bit. Problem with Yuri Prochazka is that he doesn't improve in the slightest. He does the same thing in his fights. Like, from fight to fight, he does the same thing. He performs the same way. His skill set stays the same. And in his training camps and in the gym, he doesn't improve on anything. He does the same old crap where he fasts in a dark room for like 3 days, and then he goes out and, goes out and he like does weird shaman stuff in the woods and is like, ugh, and he like screams and stuff. And he's not in the gym working on his boxing. He's not in the gym working on his defensive wrestling. And he's not game planning. He's doing the same exact thing that he does, and he's not improving. And I think that Prochazka is at the state in his career right now where he's going to fall off. He's going to start to fall off. Prochazka, with his style and how he works, he's going to fall off very hard. He's going to have like a Tony Ferguson-esque fall off. Because when you look at it, they're both kind of similar. And the fact that they're both very unorthodox, they're dangerous, and they're hard to read. But both of them lack the basics. And they both get tagged a lot. Tony got dropped a lot throughout his career for against pretty much every opponent that he faced. Like, the majority of the opponents that he faced, whether they were top level guys like Anthony Pettis and Justin Gaethje, or if it was slightly or if it were unranked guys or guys at the bottom of the rankings, he got dropped and he got caught a lot. Prochazka's the same way. He gets caught a lot and he gets dropped sometimes too. In the second Pereira fight, for example, Pereira was throwing jabs to the body. They were meant for his body. He was dipping his head and eating the jabs to the head that were meant for his body. That's how, just lacking in the basics this guy has. And Jamal Hill is a pretty decent boxer. Jamal Hill doesn't have great defense either, I don't think, ironically, for being primarily a boxer. But Yuri's just worse. And I think at this point, Yuri's plot armor is worn out, and he's going to start downfalling really hard. And after the second Alex fight, he was like, man, I have to level up or I shouldn't ever fight again. Again, going back to the improvement thing. What he doesn't mean is that he's going to work on his boxing defense. What he doesn't mean is he's going to work on his entries. He doesn't mean that. That means he's going to do more shaman crap, and he's going to, train some cardio and try and level up mentally, when that's not what he needs at all. He has the mentality, he has the warrior spirit, but he lacks the basics. That's what he needs, and he's not going to do it. If he didn't do it before, he's not going to do it now. And I think his time is running out where he survives an early onslaught in round one, which is how he won every single one of his UFC fights except for the Glover fight. He won the Ozdemir fight round two after getting tagged and I think dropped too. He won the Reyes fight in round two after surviving an early onslaught and almost getting finished. He beat Rakic in the second round after surviving an early onslaught and getting tagged a lot. That time is over. I'm predicting Jamal Hill by first round knockout. Jamal Hill's going to be coming into this fight. I know I've talked about Yuri a lot. I'm going to talk about Jamal now. Jamal's going to come into this fight with a huge chip on his shoulder. He is very salty, as we all know, and he's really annoying. I hate him. We all hate him. But it's going to work to his advantage in this fight, I think. He's going to be really salty. He's going to be looking to prove a point. And he's going to go in there with a clearer game plan, ironically, than Yuri. And like I said, he doesn't have great boxing defense. He's open to that left hook. And I think it's been kind of proven before the Pereira fight, but he's been kind of open to getting counter hooked. Yuri's not going to counter hook him, though. That's just not going to happen. Jamal Hill's going to put the pressure on him. He's going to tag him, and he's going to survive, and he's going to look to evade Yuri's shots, and he's going to just finish him in the first round, in my opinion. He could do second round, too, but man, that sucks. Yuri's going to have a bad downfall. Anyways, Merab Dvalishvili versus Umar Nurmagomedov. The thing with the key to beating Umar is you cannot just stuff the takedowns. It's been proven in the Peter Yan fight, and it's been proven in the Jose Aldo fight. First, the Jose Aldo fight. Jose Aldo stuffed every single one of Merab's takedowns. Every single one. Merab just held him up against the fence. Could not take Jose Aldo down. Jose Aldo's legendary takedown defense wasn't enough for Jose to win the fight. Was not. Peter Yan fight. Across 5 rounds, he threw 49 takedowns, I believe, 49 takedowns, completed, I believe, 11 of them. So Peter Yan stuffed the vast majority of his takedowns, and when he did get taken down, he was able to get back up to his feet 30 seconds to a minute, right? He didn't get held down and controlled for any prolonged period of time. Was not enough for Peter Yan to win the fight. You cannot just look to have good takedown defense. And same thing with Sean O'Malley, right? Sean O'Malley looked to have takedown defense. He stuffed a good amount of Merab's takedowns. Was not enough for him to win the fight, right? You have to be able to contend with him in the grappling. Be able to reverse position, shuck him off you, and even try to attack him back with grappling. And that's what Umar has. That's the difference between Umar and the other opponents. I know Merab is a EPO machine, and he is just relentless with his grappling, but Umar has the grappling to contend with Merab. He doesn't just have takedown defense. He has the ability to reverse position or sweep Merab, right? And he's skill for skill in the grappling better than he is. And he's a better striker, as pretty much every single one of Umar's opponents have been. They've all been better strikers than Merab, sorry. Merab's opponents have all been better strikers than he is. But the thing is, Umar's not going to look to just overextend on a shot like Sean O'Malley, right? Or even like Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo kind of just wings hooks when you look at it. He really does. He's kind of a big meaty hook guy, Umar is very calculated, and he fights on the outside. I know O'Malley likes to fight on the outside too, but the difference with O'Malley, he looks for that big power shot to clip you with, and that opens up a takedown pretty well. Umar's not that kind of guy. Fights very behind his jab and his kicks, right? I know Merab could catch a kick and take him down, but like I said, Umar can sweep him, Umar can reverse him, and Umar can attack him back with the grappling. I don't know that Umar can finish Merab. He could, but I just don't think it's going to happen in this fight. I think it'll be a good 49-46 decision for Umar Nurmagomedov and New. All right. Islam Makhachev, Arman Tsarukyan. Arman Tsarukyan is that guy who can contend with Islam in the grappling. He has the wrestling for sure to contend with Islam. I believe they'll probably null each other out in the grappling. I think we could see either of them kind of get some control briefly over the other. But I don't know if anyone is going to have more control than the other in the grappling. It's going to be Islam by a very slight margin, right? And in terms of the striking, Islam's a lot better, right? He's very smart on the feet, and he is more defensively sound. I know Arman Tsarukyan is kind of noted as having the best kicks in the lightweight division. I guess, yeah, he does. He does compared to everybody else. But when you look at his kicking game, does he really like do anything effective with his kicks, right? They're fast and they're very flicky, right? He's good with throwing kicks, but does he do damage with it? Right? Is he chewing up people's legs? Is he feinting and then boom, hitting you with a head kick? Not really. He's not really doing it. He just throws them up. They look fast. They look flicky, and you block it, or it misses, or it kind of lands, and that's it, right? I don't believe that Arman's kicks are going to come into play in the slightest, right? Like I said, he's going to throw them up. They're going to look whippy. They're going to look flashy. They're going to look cool, but they're not going to do anything, all right? And also, he just doesn't set them up too well. They're just fast. They're not set up well. And Islam's gonna be better than him on the feet. I think Arman's gonna ever so slightly tire out in 4 and 5. He's not gonna completely gas out, in my opinion. Islam has the better cardio. I know Sarukian could improve a lot from his past fights, and I know he probably is improving for sure. But Islam is just a little bit better. And I think Sarukian needs to work a bit more on his hands and his striking more and his submission game. He has good ground and pound, but like I said, he's not going to be able to hold Islam down and ground and pound him, in my opinion. It'll be a very close decision, but it's going to go to Islam. And after this, Islam will undeniably be the greatest lightweight of all time. I already believe he is right now. I think he has a better resume and better wins than Khabib, just by a little bit. But after this, it's completely undeniable to anybody. And Sarukian, I will say, Sarukian is very good. I do not believe anyone else at lightweight beats him. Maybe a Charles Oliveira, but at this point, Charles is 35. He's on his way out the door soon. He's still very dangerous, but I don't believe anyone else at lightweight beats Arman Sarukian. And when Islam is gone, Arman will be the next champion. So whether it's in this fight or whether it's in another fight, Islam will be lightweight champion at some point. I just believe right now, Islam is going to be the better man Saturday night, and he's going to cement his legacy as the greatest lightweight of all time, maybe move up to welterweight if Shavkat gets the title. And after this, there's no one at lightweight for Islam. Holloway, he'd beat Holloway pretty soundly. He'd beat Dan Hooker pretty soundly. Gamrot's out of the picture. Gaethje's lost. Poirier, he already beat Poirier. He beat Charles. I believe he will beat Arman. And even if he did fight Gaethje, that would be his easiest fight by far. Chandler ain't in the picture. And I don't believe Moicano's going to get to a top... I don't believe Moicano's going to get to a title shot. And if he does, he'd beat Moicano too. There's no one else at lightweight after Arman for Islam. So I hope he will get the shot at welterweight eventually. Anyways, that's all I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video, whenever that is. Bye-bye.